Okay, all. It is 2:02, so we're going to go ahead and kick off the webinar. Welcome to the Contact Center's Essentials webinar. My name is Mimi Brackett, and I will be helping host the webinar today. We're going to get started in just 1 minute, but first, just a couple housekeeping items. Today's webinar is a half an hour, so we don't expect to have time to answer questions. However, please be sure to enter your questions into the Q&A panel. You'll see it in your taskbar down there. So we can have your partner account manager follow up after today's call. And this webinar is being recorded. So after the webinar ends, we'll be sharing the presentation deck and the webinar recording. So you'll be able to share it with your colleagues or refer back to it whenever you need. You'll probably send that out via email within the next day or two. All right, so to go ahead and get started, I'll hand it off to our first presenter, Chris Hyde, who is our Senior Director of Partner Success.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of myself, Brian Jones, and Jen Nading, welcome to our webinar. I'll go ahead and just give you a quick high-level overview of the agenda. So we're going to have a brief discussion about why Contact Center, what's in it for your customers. We'll go over the features of Essentials. We'll talk about ordering and configuration. And then we'll wrap up with pricing and positioning. And then again, I'll just go over at the very end notes on how you can get your questions to us so the partner account managers can reply to those. So with that, we're going to hand it off to Jen Nading to get us started.
Awesome, thank you. You can head over to that next slide, Mimi. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I've spent the last 20 or so years working with Contact Center and UCaaS systems, mostly on the customer side before I came to CoreDial. I've implemented, configured, and integrated a lot of them for the businesses that you guys sell to. And for the past several years at CoreDial, I've overseen and set up the configuration and configured our own CC product, including implementing it in both CoreDial's technical support and our L&P teams. We use it ourselves. So I'm thrilled today to help kick off the official launch of CC Essentials. This is going to be a streamlined, low-cost, simple to set up contact center offering. But before we get into the why, or exactly what it is and how it works and how to sell it, I want to take a minute to talk about why I think you should sell it. So customer experience matters. We know that, especially in 2022 in a world that's been transformed, as we're sick of hearing about, by social distancing and work from home. Providing that amazing virtual customer experience is really essential to every business. And just like you all built your businesses on your reputation, as you know, your customers are doing the same thing. Contact Center truly allows you to do this better, allows them to do this better. In 2021, Forbes magazine published an article that, not so surprisingly, stated that 2/3 of companies compete based on customer experience. But what was interesting to me is they also reported there's an 80% increase in revenue for businesses that focus on improving a customer experience. Can you go to the next slide? So Contact Center allows businesses to build that better customer experience. It does that because it allows you to customize, measure, and optimize. Customize call routing experiences with queue overflows and skills based routing and callback and queue. You can measure with the performance by tracking service levels, wait times, agent break times, and then optimize the caller's experience on the fly using any number of the bells and whistles that come with a contact center. Contact center deployments reduce the friction between callers and those answering the phones, which, as I know, leads to a better customer experience and a better employee experience. And being directly in tune and on top of your customer's experience is definitely going to reduce your customers' operating costs. It's going to drive revenue, and it's going to definitely ensure a delightful customer experience with every interaction. Can you go to the next slide? So CC Essentials factors in this way. It is Well, other contact center solutions definitely have a reputation for being bulky, expensive, or requiring long setup times. CC Essentials is really the opposite. We've streamlined the offering to give you still great features and functionality, but without the complicated and cumbersome setup. In this case, that means no more professional services. You should be able to do it all yourself, and you definitely can. It's easy to deploy for you. You can now spin up a CC instance as quickly as you can set up an Asterisk UC seat. And we've lowered the seat price with CC Essentials. Your competition is offering, as you know, contact center. So now you have this competitive, compelling option, and it sort of makes it something you can't afford not to offer as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Brian Jones, who is the product owner for Contact Center, and he's going to walk you through exactly what you'll be getting.
Thanks, Jen. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Brian Jones. I'm the product owner for Contact Center, and we've been at work hard for many months now, streamlining CC Essentials so you can provide a great contact center solution to your customers with a really easy setup process. No way I can cover all the individual features in the scope of this call, but I want to hit some things at a high level so you get an idea of what's included. And to start out, I'd like to look at the core of the contact center, which is the call handling. ACD routing ensures you have the ability to prioritize calls and get the most important callers to the right person as quickly as possible. Call queuing lets callers wait on hold, but keeps them in line, so each caller is handled in order and no one is forgotten or left on hold indefinitely. Callback in queue, or CBIQ, lets callers opt out of waiting on hold and tying up a phone line. The system keeps their place in line and will call them back in order, connecting them when an agent becomes available and they reach the front of the line. And on-hold messaging allows the contact center to play pre-recorded messages at a configurable time interval while a caller is on hold in queue. It's a great way to promote other features or services while callers wait to speak to an agent. And it also creates a more enjoyable interaction as the caller can hear a human reassuring them that they'll speak to a person soon. So that one's definitely useful for call centers that may be understaffed or that have longer hold times than would be ideal. Finally, call recording. There's a really intuitive way for supervisors to locate, playback, score, or download any recording in the system, and just really gives end-to-end control over how the calls are handled in the call center. So next slide. Reporting. Contact center managers and supervisors live and breathe reports. Real-time and historical data is the lifeblood for improving efficiencies in a contact center. And we have numerous real-time and historical options to give your contact centers complete visibility into the agent and queue performance. Interactive dashboards, configurable drag and drop charts, provide real-time views into what's happening, both right now and in the past on the contact center floor. Number of calls in queue, longest hold time, service levels, agent details, and many more. All of these with alerting capability and customizable thresholds. Also for historical reporting, more than 50 types of historical reports covering detail and summary views for agents and queue and auto attendant activity. Those reports can be run on demand, or they can be scheduled to be automatically delivered at pre-configured times. And they can also be downloaded in several formats, including PDF and Excel. Next slide. Next slide. There we go. Team performance. Contact center is not just a collection of individuals. The teams of agents within a contact center often benefit greatly from having their agent experience tailored to their exact function. One size fits all apps are nowhere in sight. So we have a catalog of CC widgets that provide discrete bits of functionality to the agent, and each agent can be configured to see only the widgets required to best serve the needs of their callers. So the arrangement of the agent desktop is fully configurable, as well as many agent-facing settings that are configurable at the queue level, such as wrap-up time, alerting time, available disposition and tally codes. Additionally, there are a lot of training tools that are built into the system to help supervisors improve the caller experience. There's customized scripting for the agent at the queue level. Coaching functions allow a trainer to listen in or whisper to a live agent to help them interact with the caller in the best way possible. Call scoring gives a method to rate and track progress of agent behavior on calls over time. So next slide. Finally, before we dive into a quick demo, I just want to touch on the provisioning and setup process. As Jen mentioned, it no longer requires pro service engagement or even a support ticket. It's full self-service creation for contact center. It takes only a few minutes. It's as easy as ordering a seat on the Astra system. Every screen and feature in CC Essentials also includes detailed help with either a brief video walkthrough or screenshots in the Cornexa Help knowledge base, and gives step-by-step instructions to answer those common questions. It gives your team, as well as the end users, everything they need to set up and configure an Essentials contact center. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through a demo of actually ordering a contact center. All right, so I'm logged into Cornexa Automation Manager portal as my test partner. And I'm in a customer here that wants a contact center. I'm going to go to services and the CC IVR tab. Select create new contact center. And it's going to ask me to give it a name, webinar CC. And it's pre-populated with some defaults here. The key item we will need to select is how many contact center agents we want. So the minimum is 3, and I'll just leave that at 3. If you have unassigned phone numbers on the customer, you can assign those to the contact center from this screen, and they will immediately be answered by a test auto attendant. So that's really all that you need. I'm going to click save. And it takes about a minute or less for that setup to complete in the background. You can see the status here says pending setup. So I will hold on here for just a second and we'll receive the email notification that lets me know my contact center has been created, and then I'll show that to you so you know what to expect. And it looks like that has completed. There we go. And here we have it. So webinar CC, deployment completed. So this email goes directly to whomever is logged into the portal, and it will show you account activation, contact center name, webinar CC, and this is my login name. And then I can click this link and set my password for the first time, and then I'm ready to go configuring the contact center. And that's all there is to it for the ordering process and provisioning. So I'm going to jump into a contact center here. When you log in, and I just want to show you a few quick high-level items in the interface for those that haven't seen it. This is the home page when you log in. And a couple of the key features that supervisors might find most useful, just look at some of the real-time items. This is our dashboard, and it's kind of a grid view designed to be up on a wall board. And the top half of the screen will show one row per per queue. And so we've got customer service queue, tech support queue, test queue. We can see activity occurring here in real time. The lower half of the screen will show agent activity, agent detail. We can see user 2 has just gone ready. They've been ready for 7, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. So this is real time and is actively updated. I'm going to jump over to a screen that does provide real-time information, but also allows some configuration for your call center with a drag and drop interface. So this is our CC console. This green column here shows all your inbound queues, And then you can see teams of agents and then the individual agents over here on the right-hand side. And this is searchable, filterable. So I can search for a queue by name. I can expand to see which teams are working that queue. And if we were to get overloaded, say you had a lot of calls queuing up, it's as easy as grabbing a user and dropping them into that queue and you're done. Now you've got extra people taking those calls. And whenever the workload recedes and you want to go back to previous configuration, it's literally one click, single click, and the agent is back out of the queue. Also, prioritizing users within the queue is a single click operation and lets you weight the amount of workload that individual agents are expected to take. Moving on to real-time charts. We have a chart designer and a real-time dashboard that lets you set up just really however you want to see activity in the call center. So this again is real-time. You can see number of calls active in the system, number of calls queued, and it's configurable by just whatever you would like to see. The designer looks very similar to the dashboard, but gives you the ability to really just drag and drop and move these things around exactly how you would want to see them. And configure is point, click, save, and you're good to go. Save that layout, pop over to the dashboard, and there we have the updated display. So really super easy and just looks great with the these colors are colorblind friendly. So any operators in the contact center with issues with color visibility would be able to see and differentiate all of these. You can see some of the alerting configuration active there, blinking yellow slightly. Well, that is the end of the demo. So I will stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to turn it back over to Chris Hyde to talk a little bit about pricing and positioning. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brian. Right, so just to kind of recap, a little bit of this Jen touched on and Brian as well, but who can use CC Essentials? So our general sweet spot is the small to mid-size business market, generally up to about 50 seats. Specific opportunities would be customers, perhaps they're using our legacy Astros dashboard that need more, something a little more robust, or customers that want to elevate their call center experience by adding some of the great features that Brian just showed us. Also, anyone really who wants to improve their customer experience, CC Essentials yields better employee engagement and better operational efficiencies. Next slide. So for those that might not be as familiar with Contact Center or when you might deploy this or when it might come up when you're selling, we want to give you 3 examples of when Essentials might be a tool that you pull out of your tool belt. So the first one would be in a front office retail situation. Examples would be law firms, vet clinics, or whatnot, but any place where customer service and branding is really important, you could use CC Essentials. You could use the call routing features like callback and queue, and also the scripting tools to help the CC agents stay on brand, so to speak. Also, and I think this is probably the one that comes to mind to most people, would be like a customer support situation. Everything that we talked about features, generally you're accustomed to hearing about in customer support. So live call monitoring, some of the more fancier ones like whisper coaching, takeover, help with training, call scoring, Q&A options are all super useful in a customer support environment. And then finally, as Jen said, in this day and age where we're all either working hybrid or dealing with people working hybrid, Call Center Essentials is great because of the reporting features, the live dashboards. It allows managers to keep an eye on service levels, visibility, productivity throughout the day. So those are 3 basic examples of when Essentials might come into play. Next slide. So pricing. Just like we've tried to keep the functionality simple, the pricing is very straightforward. So your cost is $26.99 a seat. That's wholesale. And our recommended MSRP is $52.50, which we feel is very competitive. There's a lot of people out there selling CC for 80 plus out in the market. So we think that this is a great price to be going to market with. Of course, you have the ability to change, but that is our recommended MSRP. And again, there's a 3 seat minimum per instance with no maximum. Next slide. So to wrap up, I really just wanted to talk to you about the power of CC and what this means, kind of in the product portfolio, especially, as part of partner success. This is the area that my team gets involved with. So number one, it's simple. It's as easy to provision as a basic Astra seat. It's easy to deploy. It's easy to maintain. And what this means is that it's easy for you to sell. It's easy to train your sales team and your provisioning team. So it should be a lightweight, kind of like it's instantly there for you to offer your customers without a lot of work on your end. Second, it's a total solution provider or one-stop shop tool. In other words, we talk about the importance of being the trusted advisor, boxing out the competition, you being able to offer everything, because let's face it, if a CC competitor comes in there, they're probably coming in with more than just CC. They're coming in with voice and this and that. So the more you can offer, the more you can be that one-stop shop. First of all, it just makes you able to better solution something for your customer. It makes the sale more sticky, which means higher retention and more revenue. And then finally, of course, it's better engagement. So your customers are going to have better employee engagement. They'll have better engagement with their customers. So if I were going to wrap all this up at the end of the day, I guess the way I would position this is that it may be new to you, it may not. You may not plan to sell a lot of this, or you may end up selling more essentials than you expect. But I do believe that you're going to be glad you have it. It's something that when it comes up, you're going to have that tool to be able to offer that solution to keep the competitors out of your business. So it's really worth it for you to understand. Just have it and have your team have it so that they know it's there for them when they need it. And to wrap up, I think I'm looking at the time, we've just got a little bit of time here. I did want to quickly revisit some resources that are available for you. So of course, we have you covered with sales support. We have the help documentation, which you might hear us refer to as the wiki, all of the technical support. We're going to have additional webinars in the future. The recording of this webinar is going to go out. And then, of course, if there are any questions that were either submitted during this webinar or that you may think of afterwards, I welcome you to send them either to your partner account manager, formerly known as your partner success associate or PSA, and they would be happy to either answer it for you or get you the answer. Brian and Jen, did I forget anything?
I don't think so. Did we mention the 3 call paths that they get with each seat?
I don't think it was mentioned, but you do. You get 3 call paths with each seat, which is a nice feature. So Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We hope it was informational. I hope you got a little jazzed about this. We're all certainly excited here. This is a great product to offer you and for you to offer your customers.
Everyone.